All right, all right, all right. I know you guys are having issues getting into the class, so I'm going to go ahead and record this anyhow. We can get this done, and then you guys can watch it and complete the studio notes. You need to be in Go Formative. It is Alfredo Studio Notes, just to make sure that you're paying attention, make sure that everything is good to go. I cannot get into the OHS as well, but I was able to find a back door into the Class Connect. So I'll record this and hopefully you guys will be able to watch it in a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look. Again, in Go Formative, it's Alfredo Studio Notes. That's what you guys should be doing. And let's take a look. Your base ingredients here for this recipe is your heavy whipping cream, okay, a block of Parmesan cheese, and a 1 stick of butter, half a cup of butter. Okay. So I also have some leftover chicken that I have cut up and everything that we had grilled chicken tacos last night. So yeah, I'm going to use the leftover chicken and I'm going to add that. And I also have some broccoli here so I'm going to make mine chicken and broccoli Alfredo. Okay, but again, this is just kind of optional things. This is your base recipe, and this is what we're going to be working with today. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just move this over to the side. Now we'll show you how I'm doing all that, just in case you want to do it as well. Okay, but let's go ahead and take a look at our rubric and take a look at the first question. All right, so it says, first question, parsley is really only used for garnishing, therefore it's an optional ingredient, true or false? That's true. Okay. The parsley that they put on top at the end of the video that we're going to watch and everything else is really only just for, garnishing purposes to make it look pretty, so it doesn't have to be included. You don't have to put it in there. So that is absolutely true. Okay. So the second question, how many pictures does your face need to be in for this studio? Well, first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at this rubric. We see here we have 6 pictures that we need to take, and then your student submission grade is there as well. Our first picture is our mise en place, which is, of course, the heavy whipping cream, the Parmesan, the butter, your noodles, okay, which I did not have mine out, so let me go ahead and grab those. So I have my fettuccine noodles here as well. So I'm going to make sure I have this. Now, someone asked me in another class, Miss Mac, we don't really like fettuccine noodles. Can I just use spaghetti noodles? Sure. It's just noodles. Go ahead. I'm cool with that. Okay. So there you go. And then second picture, grating the cheese. Student is visible in the picture. So there's 1. Student adding noodles to the boiling water. There's 2. Okay. Butter, cream, and cheese melting in the pan. Close up of the pan with the butter melting, cheese melting, and cream added all in the pan. Okay, noodles added to the pan with the reserved added on the side. So in classic Italian dishes, once you make the sauce, you add the noodles into the sauce directly into the pan. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then picture number 6 is your final plating of your fettuccine. All right. So those are everything that we're looking at. So answer number 2, how many pictures does your face need to be in for this studio? The answer is 2. You need to be in 2 of those pictures. Okay. So there's that. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing here. We do have our mise en place. We have our noodles. We have our butter. We have our whipping cream and all that other stuff. And I'm going to move this over to the side, which I forgot to do in between my other class. There we go. So that you guys can see both of the pans. Yeah, so we have all of this here ready to go. And we're going to start with go ahead and boiling our water. So I have a large stock pot here over here. Settings, here we go. Diggy. Go to Nexi. There we go. All right, so I have my large pots over here. Might need to put this up a little higher so that you can see all of them. There we go. So over here to the left is your right is the pot that I'm going to be boiling the water in, and this is where I'm going to be making my Alfredo sauce. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add water to this pot over here and get it boiling so I can do my noodles. All right, so I have my water. We're going to go ahead and turn this on to boil. And while this is boiling, we're getting ready to boil, I'm going to go ahead and start over here with getting my cheese ready and my butter ready and everything so that I can, you know, start making my sauce. Okay, so let's go ahead back to Ziggy. Whoops. Back to Ziggy. Okay, so we're back over here. So we are going to start with the Parmesan cheese, and we're grating our Parmesan cheese. So remember I told you that by the end of January you would need a grater. It is time. It is time to use a grater. Some of you guys might have like a block. That's absolutely fine. Like it's like a cube type cheese grater. That's fine. I only have this one because I found that the other one, like it took up too much room. Like I have so many like kitchen utensils and stuff like that, and this one just slides in my little drawer and it's so much better. Okay, so this is block Parmesan cheese. Woo, she's stanky, guys. Okay, real Parmesan cheese doesn't smell that great. Okay. Doesn't smell that great, but it's good. Okay, so we're going to be making our Alfredo using this amazing stinky cheese. And we're literally just going to hold the block, okay? And someone's going to take a picture. This is your second picture, and you're just going to grate your cheese. Now, I know you guys were grating your butter last week and you were like, oh my gosh, well, this isn't any easier. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you that. It's not any easier to grate the cheese because the cheese is harder. So just saying. Okay, and you need half a cup. Half a cup. So just keep grating, keep grating. This is 8 ounces, which is a full cup, and I need to save some for the other half for my 11 o'clock class. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I know is about half a cup here, which actually that's probably half a cup there. But I'll make sure I have enough here. I got it all grated. Now we want to make sure that we measure this, right? So we're going to find our half a cup measuring cup, which that's 1/4 of a cup. I'll find it eventually. Should have had it out already. The whole OHS being down's kind of got me off my game. Sorry, guys. Okay, I got it. Okay, so here is the half a cup measuring spoon. Okay, so we're going to use a dry spoon because we're just going to fill it. We're not going to like push it in there. We're just going to fill this up. Okay, nice and loose. Almost got half. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more here because it's not quite a half. And, you know, a little bit of extra cheese ain't going to hurt nothing. I'm just saying. Okay, so there's that. Go ahead and add a little bit of extra cheese there. All right, so I have my half a cup of cheese. I have my half a cup of butter, and I need to go ahead and pour out my, I did have my liquid measuring cup out though. So I'm going to go ahead and pour out my half a cup of heavy whipping cream. All right, which this one's not open, so I guess I need to open this up. See, maybe not as on my game as I thought I was a second ago. Okay, so half a cup, make sure it's on a flat surface, half a cup heavy whipping cream. All right, make sure you're checking the dates on your whipping cream and stuff like that. So all of that is good to go. I have all 3 of those ingredients. We're going to put this on a kind of a low heat. We don't want it very hot at all. We don't want to burn our butter, things like that. So we're going to put this like on maybe a 3 or 4, just enough to get the pan hot. Okay, so what is it, medium low? Okay, so 3 or 4. Okay, and we're going to let the pan heat up, and then we will start adding our ingredients. Okay, and we're going to start by adding the butter in first. Okay, and the butter is going to melt, and then as the butter melts, then we're going to add in the cheese, and we're going to add the cream on top of it, and then we're going to take our 3rd picture. Okay, so just as a, little side note here, and the answer to number three, okay, the original fettuccine Alfredo from Italy did not have heavy cream. It was just butter and cheese and cooking water. Okay. It wasn't until the United States got a hold of it. And you know how we love our fattening stuff, okay? That we decided that we were going to be adding cream to our stuff, okay? So I have all of my stuff ready. Let's go ahead and pop over to Nexi. The water is starting to get a little warm. You can see some steam coming up, little bubbles on the bottom. Okay, this is almost like poaching water right here. But over on this pan right here, we're going to go ahead and start by adding our butter. Half a cup of butter is one whole stick of butter. And I am using the unsalted butter because it's so much easier to salt your own stuff. You don't know how much salt they actually put in butter. So I usually get the unsalted butter so I can add my own. All right, so there's that. And then we are just going to take a little spatula here so that we can move it around. Get it to melt a little quicker. You can see it's already melting pretty decent, but we're going to move it around, let it melt a little bit. Okay, it's a pretty solid chunk of butter here. So, but she's going pretty quick. It won't take long for her to melt. But she'll melt down. And as she's melting, once you get like a full layer of butter on the bottom, you should be able to go ahead and start adding in your cheese and then your cream. Okay. Now the cheese and the cream can kind of go in at the same time, but you definitely want to keep this on low, okay? Because if you try and cook it too fast, then you're going to end up with your cream's going to split and your butter will split and your sauce is going to become more grainy. Okay. So that is, something that you need to not worry about. You want to cook it on low. It's not going to take long. Just cook it on low. Make sure you're watching it. There you go. Okay. So now we're down enough that it's melting this pretty decent, pretty fast. I can cut it with the spatula now, which I couldn't a minute before because it was too cold still. So this is looking really good. All right. Anthony, I'm going to send out this recording in just a minute because nobody else could get in. So you're free to go because you have to do the formative along with it. And I will see you tomorrow, okay? Because nobody else can get in either. All right? All right, so next thing we're going to do is, now that we have our butter melted, we're going to go ahead and add our cheese. Okay, we're just going to drop that in there like that. We're going to go ahead and add our butter. Not butter, the cream. Go ahead and add it all at once. There you go, add it all at once. And again, we're keeping this on low. But this is where you take your next picture. I should be able to see the butter. I should be able to see the cream. I should be able to see the cheese. I should be able to see all the different pieces before you start mixing it up. Okay? So here you go. We're just going to lightly just kind of whisk this around. Wait for that cheese to melt. There you go. That butter's getting all mixed in with the cream. The cheese is in there. Oh, it's looking so good, y'all. Nice little homemade Alfredo sauce for you here. Still waiting on that water to boil, but that's okay because this is where that extra time comes in handy that I can start adding like I can add like the broccoli that I want to cook in there, and I can add, the chicken that I already have that's pre-made. So if you don't have, like, you can always like boil a chicken thigh or something like that, and you can cut it up. Or if you don't want to do that, you can always, you lose leftover chicken, or you can always go through and use the what you call like the pre-grilled Tyson chicken. I use that a lot. In fact, that's what this is. Okay, that's what this is leftover pre-grilled chicken that I just used for chicken tacos. All right, so this sauce is on nice and low. We got it's still kind of runny. It's okay. It will thicken up as it cooks. All right, but we're gonna go ahead and let that go on nice and slow. And we're gonna add in our chicken right here to the pan. As soon as I can get it open, the Ziploc bag is not cooperating. It happens sometimes. There we go. Okay, maybe not. Come on, open up. There we go. I couldn't open it up. So we're going to add in about a whole cup at least. I mean, a minimum of whole cup, okay, of chicken in here. Like that. So I got my whole cup of chicken in there, which leaves me about a cup left for next class. And I'm just going to kind of get that in there. It's already cooked through, guys. I'm just kind of reheating it in the sauce, okay? So just keep it on nice and low. There you go. Oh, I can smell that. Smell good, y'all. I'm just saying. All right, so while that's going, let that sit for a minute. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work on this broccoli. Okay, so we're going to work on the broccoli a little bit and move the stuff out of the way. Get the cheese out of the way and work on this broccoli. Now, I'm not going to use a ton of broccoli here because, not everybody in my family loves broccoli. It's a thing. My son-in-law has a thing against green food in general. It's kind of funny. Okay, but yeah. We're going to go ahead and cut off some of these florets. Get them washed up, and we're just going to dump them right into that cheese sauce too. So while it's sitting there kind of bubbling, doing its thing, okay, it's going to kind of get some of that broccoli to, come down. So here I have my chef's knife. We're going to go from the bottom, and we're going to cut off the big stems, which is going to give us the florets that we need. Okay, so cut off the big stems like that. Okay. Not going to need a whole lot. We only got like a cup of chicken in there, so we don't want to like overdo it. So maybe one more. There we go. All right. So there's that. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to cut these florets into smaller pieces. Nobody wants to eat like all this at once, not in a chicken Alfredo thing. I'm going to go back over here and stir this real quick. You don't want to let it just sit for too long. You got to keep stirring it to keep all of those cheeses together and stuff like that. It's a big pot of water. It's still trying to get to boiling. All right, so multitasking. When you start making recipes for big enough for the whole family, when we did Culinary 1, it was kind of like, oh, we can kind of do one thing at a time. When you're making stuff for the whole family to eat, a lot of times you got to do several things at once. So we're waiting for the water to boil. We're stirring our fettuccine. We're cutting up broccoli pieces, It happens that way sometimes. Of course, in the culinary world, they would say that you should have had your, mise en place done and had the broccoli chopped before I even started cooking, right? It's okay. Y'all will forgive me, right? All right, so I got just some little broccoli pieces here. Going to add a few more over here. We're just cutting it. Do the same thing over here. Just cut off these little broccoli florets. Looking good. All right, we're getting there. All right, I'm going to turn because we're still waiting for the noodles to go. So I am turning this all the way down to low, like very gentle simmer, okay? So I'm just letting it sit in the pot, very gentle simmer. We don't want it boiling because, again, remember, it can split your cheese, split your dairy, and, you know, make everything kind of curdle, and then it gets grainy, and it's just not good, okay? So there you go. Go ahead and cut up my little broccoli pieces here. All right. I'm thinking that should be enough, honestly. That should be enough. All right, so I'm going to run these under some water in a strainer real quick. Strainer, not a colander. Okay, so I'm going to run them under water in a strainer real quick just to make sure that I clean off all of the, you know, got to get them all clean before I stick them in my food. All right. So we have them nice and rinsed off now, and we're just going to dump these right into the Alfredo sauce as well. So let's go ahead back over to Nexi. Take a look at what's going on the stove. All right, we got this on a gentle simmer over here. You can see little bubbles coming up, but that's about it. This is exactly where we want it. And we're just going to add this broccoli straight to the pot. Okay, there we go. By the time our noodles get done boiling, this broccoli is going to be nice and tender. So, which is why I wasn't worried about adding it raw now, because it's going to be able to sit here and get nice and tender in the sauce itself. Okay, but oh my goodness, look at that already, guys. Ooh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So the water's just about ready to boil. Finally we're at like the small bubble boil now. We're kind of simmering, waiting for that rapid boil to start. We'll go ahead and take a look at our fettuccine. Here we go. Okay, and fettuccine noodles are a little bit wider. They're as thin, but they're a little bit wider than spaghetti noodles. Again, if you don't like fettuccine noodles and you want to use some other noodle, I don't care. It's a noodle, y'all. Okay, use the noodles y'all want to use. All right. So this is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and set this in here like that. Okay. And while this gets to going, this is going to go for, side of the box says about 8 minutes, I think. Somewhere, where's it at? Okay, so, and I'm upside down for you guys, sorry. Okay, so boil, add the pasta, cook uncovered, stir occasionally. This says 11 to 12 minutes. So this one's going to take a little bit longer. And then we're going to strain it out and reserve a little bit of the water. And then we're going to stick that into this sauce. Okay, so that's what we're going to do there. This is almost done here. While we are waiting for this to get done and the pasta to go, let's go ahead and take a look back over to the formative. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and watch the video. So let me go ahead and pop that down there. Whoops, sorry. My bad. We're going to pop that down there, and we are going to Tools and Desktop Share. There we go. How to make the creamiest Alfredo. There we go.
When you're craving something creamy and carby and delicious, there's nothing better than a big bowl of fettuccine Alfredo. I'm going to show you how to make my favorite. And I just say this recipe is so easy. The measurements are a half a cup of butter, a half a cup of cheese, and a half a cup of cream. This recipe, you can memorize it. While we're boiling our pasta, we can start our sauce. I'm going to put this on medium-low heat, and I'm going to add my butter and my heavy cream so they can start melting together. Classic Italian Alfredo was invented in Rome, used only butter, Parmesan, and some cooking liquid from the pasta, but this is America and we like heavy cream, and heavy cream just adds another layer of richness to this pasta. Me and Chelsea are hungry, so we're cooking the whole pound. If you've ever seen me cook pasta on this show, you will know that I don't trust the box to tell me when the pasta is done. The box said 12 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 8 and we'll check it then and see if it's ready. If you can, splurge for real parm instead of the pre-grated stuff at the grocery store. That stuff has preservatives that keep it from melting in the container, but as a result, it's kind of hard to melt it when you're cooking it. I don't like.
So on your formative, if you go back to your formative, okay, what does she say in the video? That you should try to avoid already grated Parmesan cheese. Why is that? Because pre-grated cheeses have a preservative in them that keeps them from melting together in the package, which makes them harder to melt in the pan, which is why we went for block cheese, okay? So let's go ahead and finish up this video. My stuff's still boiling away and simmering. Nothing's changed on my side.
Like going too crazy on the salt because parm has a good amount of salt already. So I'm just going to do a pinch. I like a good amount of pepper. Pepper kind of cuts through the richness of the sauce. So it's non-negotiable in my opinion. Sorry. It's perfect. So this pasta water that we saved will help thicken the sauce and give it some more body if we feel like it needs it. Woo. Now we can add the noodles.
All right, so back in the formative, what is the reserved pasta water for? To help thicken the sauce. Okay, believe it or not, the reserved pasta water has all these carbs and everything from the noodles in it. So to thicken up the sauce, you're actually going to add some of that water back into the sauce and you can make it thicker. Let's go ahead and finish out this video.
Time to toss. The sauce is looking luscious. I'm just going to add a tad of this pasta water, which has some starch from the pasta that'll help give the sauce even more body. You know, it's not the best sound, but embrace the sound. It is time to plate this up. I'm gonna take a bite because I can't resist any longer. What could make you happier than this? Creamy, it's cheesy, it's everything you could ever want. Whoever you make this for is gonna fall in love with you, so be ready for that. I don't really want to share this, but Chelsea, you can have some because I love you.
All right, so that is everything for the video. We have answered almost all of the questions. We are literally just waiting for our noodles to be done now, okay? So, so when you talk about Alfredo dishes, there's lots of things that people actually add to it, okay? So sometimes we add chicken, sometimes we can add shrimp, or even some people do like a vegetarian one where it's just like tomatoes and spinach and stuff like that. And all that is good in an Alfredo. On top of it is just kind of okay. So the answer to number 6 on your formative and the last one is yeah, that you don't want to, you know, add your steak. That's not normally something that's added. Now, I noticed the longer that my Alfredo was sitting on here that I could see the butter and the cream starting to split. Okay, they weren't a one sauce anymore. So I went ahead and I turned off the heat. And I'm probably going to have to add the heat back in a little bit when the pasta's done, when we add in the stuff, and we'll be able to cover it all because you want it to remain one sauce. and you don't want it to split apart again. And that's what you could see, like the runny of the butter back in the sauce again, and we just didn't want that. So I turned it off, and this broccoli is looking good. It's got a little bit of a crunch to it, but it's nice and yeah, this is exactly the texture that I like my broccoli in. So we're going to do that. And again, we're just waiting for the noodles. The noodles are probably going to be the longest part of this. So we're just waiting for the noodles to finish up. We still got about 4 more minutes on the noodles. When they're done, we're going to strain them into, use the colander and strain it in the sink. Okay, and then we're going to save a little bit of the water. All right, and don't let it all go down the drain, just in case we want to thicken this up. We don't want it this thin. Okay, to thicken it up, we're going to add a little bit of water, add it back to the heat, let it boil down, and it's going to thicken this up. Okay, so that's what we're going to do there. You add the noodles to this sauce. Take a picture over there. That's your picture number 5. The noodles in the sauce on the thing, and then you're going to do your final plating. Okay, use a little bit of that extra shredded parmesan on the side. Make it nice and cool. Make some awesome dishes there. But there you go. That's it. That's the entire studio. 6 pictures. Make sure you turn your formative in. I'm going to stop the recording here because I'm sure y'all don't want to sit here and wait for 8 minutes for this to finish boiling for me to put it all together. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording here, and I will send this out to you guys as soon as possible. That's it, everybody. Bye-bye.